welcome to our YouTube channel. My name is Jenny Jo, and today we're going to review the calendar tool from the admin perspective. This will include a general overview of the calendar settings, as well as instructions on adding new events. From the admin homepage, navigate to Calendar and Settings. You'll want to read through all of these settings to make sure that they line up with the way your group handles things. I specifically want to draw your attention to the credit adjustment section here. What this is asking is if a family signs up for an event and an invoice is created because let's say it's a ticket to go to the pumpkin patch. And then if the family cancels, how do you want the system to handle that? So you have choices here to allow for an automated credit adjustment, which means they're no longer on the hook for the money, or do not allow, which means they are still on the hook for the money. And then you can answer that question separately, whether the family canceled it or whether admin canceled it. So that's a setting that you need to be aware of particularly. We also have on the security tab here, there's numerous settings for who can perform certain functions. This setting at the bottom that says shared group access, this is for if there are other homeschool groups in your area that use Homeschool-Life, you can allow them to see some of your events. Now, this is just a potential thing. If you add these other groups, and to do that, you would click this button at the top that says Add Group Access. In the drop-down list here will be all of our groups alphabetically. You can just search for your state and your area. Once you added a group, then they wouldn't have access to anything until in the individual events you turned it on. So it's just kind of a potential setting that could be used in individual events later if you so choose. And then let's look at the Categories tab. Now, categories are required, or choosing one is required in every event. There is also a no category that comes built in to your website. The volunteer service category also comes built into your website. And then all of the rest of these are custom categories that this site has added. To add a category, you click on the plus category button. You have the option to pick what color it will show up as. And then you also have the option to allow it to be a syncing category, which means that when families subscribe to that category, then all of those events, when you update them, it will update on their personal calendars like Apple Calendar, Google Calendar, if they have chosen to sync with that category. You can also edit the color and the syncing from this page. Actually, I think you can change the name of the categories too. Well, you can't change the name if it's ever been used. And the same thing for deleting. There's no little delete icons in this column right now because all of these categories that you can see have been used at least once. If you do need to delete a category, you will either need to delete all the events that are associated with it, or you could just edit those events and assign them to a different category. And then once the category is not associated with any events, then it will be deletable. So now let's demonstrate adding a new event from the admin side. So I'm going to go here to Calendar and then Calendar of Events on this light gray menu. And here is the group's calendar for the month we're currently in. Now, there are two ways to start the process. You can either click on the plus event button here at the top, or you can click specifically on the day that you want the event to show up. So I'm just going to pick a day. We're going to add an event in June 2026 on the 1st. This is going to be an end of the year picnic. It's going to be a family fun activity. We're going to allow sync. So this, you do have the option within each event to have that be turned on or turned off for that particular event. And then the date is a required field. And then the rest of these are not required, but especially the time and the description are very helpful for people. So we're going to put the time for our picnic. It's going to be 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. There's our description. And then there's some more sort of configuration items that you can do here. You can add a file, like if you have a nicely designed file that you want to attach with graphics and beautiful things, you can do that. You also have the option to include in the weekly email, but I'm going to turn that off in this case. All right, I'm creating the new event. Once you create the event and you scroll back to the top, you'll see that there are several more tabs that are now available to us where we can make additional, we can configure it with additional items. So I'm going to first start with the signups tab. We can make this event a sign-up event, and that just means we're going to specifically require people to indicate that they're coming. There are quite a few options here that you can choose. You can have a waiting list. You can limit your event to people of a certain age. You can also add a price option. So, for instance, if you were selling tickets, you were going to, I don't know, the pumpkin patch, you say, well, an adult. Well, this is the per family option. So you could have the family price. And then that might be, however much it is, $25. Or you could have person by person tickets. And so in this case, maybe adult tickets are 10, kids under 18 are 8. So you do have the option to add price options. And if your group is set up with PayPal or NewTek, then people can pay online. And if you do that, you can set it to cancel the registrations if it's not paid within a certain day. Those are all options you have. But our picnic does not have a price, so I'm going to delete those. You can also set the sign-up start date. So if you don't put a date in, then sign-ups are immediately available and people can sign up for the event. Or you can set the sign-up to open at a later time, and the same for deadline. Otherwise, the deadline is the day the event takes place, or you can make the deadline be some day before then. Now I'm going to go to the Extra Fields tab. Extra Fields are a way that you can ask the attendee a question. You can gather information. In the instance of our picnic, again, we have the choice of a per family question or a per person question. So we're going to ask a per family question. And we're going to say, how many gluten-free buns does your family need? And we have some choices. We could make it a drop-down kind of question or a text box kind of question. And we're just going to have it be a text box. And it's going to be small. So I'm going to save. This question is still editable. We could change the things that are in it up until the first person registers for the event and answers the question. And then at that point, you can't edit it. Now let's talk about resources. Resources are another thing that is per family or per person. A resource is a thing that once a family signs up for it, there are fewer left to be had. So in the example of our picnic, we are going to add some family resources, and the first one is going to be for desserts. And we want 8 families to bring a dessert. Now this time I'm going to select Save and Add because that reloads the form just real quick. Then we want side dishes, and we want 12 people to bring side dishes. Now for this one, I'm going to, yes, allow overages. This is because if 20 people commit to all of these things and then we get more food, we want more side dishes to show up than sweets. So we're going to allow overages on side dishes. And I'm going to make the quantity required be 1. This means that every family who registers for the event has to pick a dessert or a side dish. All right. And then finally, let's talk about recurrence. So you can make your event recur on various time frames. The one thing that you want to be sure of, and there is a little note here at the top that tells you, is you want to be sure that everything on all these other tabs is perfect in the way you want it before you set the recurrence. And the reason for that is once you recur, if you edit it after that, the edit will only apply to the event you're looking at and it won't apply to every iteration. So if you have a lot of iterations, if you have something that recurs weekly for a whole school year, and then you realize, oh, wait, I need to edit something, at that point, it'd probably be better just to delete and start over, make it perfect, and then recur again. That'd be much easier than editing every single occurrence to fix the one thing that you forgot. So we're going to make our picnic, we're going to make it recur yearly on the first Monday in June. And the recurrence is going to end on June the 5th, 2028. I think you can only recur about 2 to 3 years in the future. So we're going to make that one recur. Oh, I forgot to check the little circle. There we go. Okay. Now if we go back to the General Settings tab, we can see that we're currently looking at the event on 2026, and then there are 2 more years of recurrence for this event. Now let's look at how that is viewed by the family. So I'm going to go to June 2026. Here's the event, the end of the year picnic. I'm going to select that. And then here is what it looks like. Here's the information I can read. And I'm going to sign up for this picnic now. I'm going to commit to bringing 1 dessert. My family needs 0 gluten-free hamburger buns. And then for attendee information, we're going to select all the people in my family who are attending so that they have an accurate count. These people are attending the picnic. Now I'm clicking sign up. Right, and here we can see it says 3 added to the signed up list. If I go to the calendar again, back to June 2026, now you can see that there's a little person icon here that shows that my family has a registration for this event. I can click on the event, and here I can see the details for my family. The admin can also look up who is attending and see much the same thing. If we go back to the admin side, we're going to go to, there are 2 ways to look that up. One of them is signups here in the light gray menu. We're going to pick 2026 and find our event. There it is, June the 1st. Out here beside the name of the event, it tells you there's 1 family and 3 individuals signed up. We can click on that. And that shows you the sign up chart with all the information. The other way to get to it is through the calendar. Here, if we go to June 2026, we can click on the name of the event. Go to the signups tab, and then there's a link right here at the top that says view those who are signed up. You can select that. And then this is the same view with the chart and the information. Now, once here, there are several functions you can perform. You could delete people who are signed up. You can move them from signed up to the waiting list or signed up to canceled. You can leave yourself a note of something you wanted to remember about that sign up. You can also view a quick summary of the resources that people signed up for. Like if you wanted to see if all of your desserts and side dishes were claimed, you could see that right here at the top. You can also see that down here in these separate columns. You can download a spreadsheet by clicking on this little piece of paper with a down arrow, and then you can delete the columns you want, rearrange them and sort, and have a report to your liking if this here isn't. Any changes that you make, you would want to be sure to click the button to save changes. I also want to show you how you could message the people who are signed up. If we go back to the calendar of events, okay, I'm going to go to June 2026. I think you can see here there's a little envelope and there's a little cell phone. So you can email everybody in the event or you can text them if you have SMS turned on for your group. If not, then email will be your only choice. So when I select that little email icon, I can email all the registrants, or I could email all families in my whole group. And then here's the message that you can add to this or take away from it if you don't like what's in here. So with events that don't have signups, you can still do this, but it'll it'll come to this tool, and your only option will be to email all families. So if you just want to make an announcement, hey, there's this event coming up, take note, please come, then you can email all families. And it will plug in all the details of the description that you wrote. It'll put it right in for you. So that concludes the tutorial on the calendar tool. If you have any additional questions, you can create a ticket. You can email us at support@homeschool-life.com, or you can call 920-755-0257.